Hi, I'm Garth Drinkwater from Small Business CGT Concession Specialists. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the interaction between the Small Business CGT Concessions and deceased estates. Particularly, I'm going to provide you with an overview of the interaction, and I'll talk to you about the extension to the Small Business CGT Concessions for deceased estates. I'll start with an overview of the interaction. Following the death of an individual, whom we will refer to in this video as the deceased, one or more of the following four things would usually happen. 1. A CGT asset of the deceased estate may devolve to the deceased's legal personal representative. 2. A CGT asset of the deceased estate may pass to a beneficiary of the deceased estate. 3. An interest in a CGT asset may be acquired by a surviving joint tenant or tenants. Or 4. A CGT asset of the deceased estate may devolve to the trustee of a testamentary trust. In each of these scenarios, the CGT asset would now be held by an entity which we will refer to in this video as the recipient. If the recipient were to subsequently dispose of the CGT asset, a CGT event should arise, which may result in a capital gain. Now, the recipient may be able to apply the Small Business CGT concessions based solely on their use of the asset since they acquired it. But irrespective of that, an extension may apply to reduce or disregard a capital gain using the Small Business CGT concessions in the same way as the deceased individual would have been entitled to in certain circumstances. I've just provided you with an overview of the interaction. I'll now talk about the extension to the Small Business CGT concessions for deceased estates. The extension may apply to reduce or disregard a capital gain using the Small Business CGT concessions in the same way as the deceased individual would have been entitled to if 1. The deceased would have been entitled to reduce or disregard a capital gain using the Small Business CGT concessions if a CGT event happened in relation to the CGT asset immediately before their death. And 2. A CGT event happens in relation to the CGT asset within 2 years of the deceased's death, or a longer period if allowed by the Commissioner. When testing this, the requirements for the Small Business 15-year exemption and Small Business Retirement exemption for individuals are modified. If you would like information about the Small Business 15-year exemption or the Small Business Retirement exemption, they're covered in separate videos. The requirements for the Small Business 15-year exemption for individuals are modified such that, in broad terms, the requirement for the CGT event to happen in connection with the individual's retirement is removed. The requirements for the Small Business Retirement exemption for individuals are modified such that, in broad terms, the requirement for an individual that is under 55 years of age to contribute an amount to a complying superannuation fund is removed. And that's it. That's the interaction between the Small Business CGT concessions and deceased estates. If you'd like to know more or get in contact, head on over to our website.